All right, let's dive into the world of AI agents. It's easily one of the most exciting and, let's be honest, the chaotic fields in software right now. And if you're a developer trying to jump in, it can feel like you're staring into a hurricane of options. And, this isn't just hype. Gartner is predicting that by 2028, a full third of all enterprise software will be using some form of agentic AI. Think about that. That's a huge jump from less than 1% today. This isn't just a fleeting trend, it's a massive shift in how we're going to be building software. And that, right there, is the big problem. As a developer, you're looking at dozens and dozens of frameworks, and every single one is promising you the moon. It's a classic case of choice paralysis, and it makes it incredibly tough to figure out where you should even start. So, in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We'll start by looking at how we even got here. Then we'll meet the main players in the game. After that, we'll break down the key differences between them, give you a simple guide to choosing your perfect match, and finally, we'll talk about what it really takes to build for the real world. First up, the AI agent explosion. Let's take a quick look at how this whole field went from being just a cool experiment to something you can actually build real products with. It really wasn't that long ago, back in 2022 and 2023, that we were in this wild experimental phase. Tools like AutoGPT were blowing everyone's minds, but they were super unpredictable and could rack up insane costs. Then in 2024, things started to settle down. The frameworks got more mature, more stable, and that brings us right to today, into what we're calling the production era, where the entire focus has shifted to things that matter for real businesses: stable APIs, controlling costs, and proving out actual use cases. Okay, so now let's meet the main players. To really get a handle on this crowded landscape, we've broken down the most important frameworks into 3 different archetypes. First up, we have the ecosystem giants. You can think of these as the massive do-it-all platforms. They're like the Swiss Army knives of the agent world, packed with a ton of tools right out of the box. On one side, you've got LangChain. It's the biggest and most adopted framework out there with a mind-boggling 600 plus integrations. If you need to connect your AI to anything, chances are LangChain has it covered. But all that power comes with a really steep learning curve. Then you have the new Microsoft Agent Framework, which basically combines their older tools. This one's a no-brainer if your team lives and breathes in the .NET and Azure ecosystem. Alright, our next group is the specialists. Now these guys are the total opposite of the giants. They don't even try to do everything. Instead, they focus on being the absolute best at one very specific, very important job. Mama Index is, without a doubt, the king of retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. So what's that mean? Well, its superpower is basically taking all your messy documents, your PDFs, your PowerPoints, whatever, and turning them into a smart, searchable knowledge base. It's amazing for question and answer bots. Then you've got CrewAI, which has this really cool role-playing concept. You actually define agents with roles, like a senior researcher and a creative writer, and they work together just like a human team. It's incredibly intuitive, which makes it super easy to pick up. And that brings us to our final category, the developer-focused rebels. Honestly, these frameworks were born out of frustration with the complexity of the giants. They are built by developers for developers, and they prioritize things like clean code, total control, and transparency above all else. So you have PydanticAI, which is all about bringing type safety and solid testing practices into AI development. That just means it helps you write cleaner code and catch bugs before they cause a disaster, which is, pretty critical for production apps. And then there's atomic agents. I love their philosophy. It's like building with Lego blocks. Every single step is explicit. There's no hidden magic, no mysterious API calls happening in the background. That gives you complete control over your app's logic, and maybe most importantly, its cost. Alright, now that we've met the lineup, let's put them head to head and really dig into the key differences that should be driving your decision. So, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? With all these different approaches and philosophies, how in the world do you actually pick the right tool for your specific job? This table right here lays out the trade-offs perfectly. LangChain, you can see, has a massive 5-star community and is great for complex apps, but its complexity is high. Llama Index is your absolute go-to for anything involving documents. CrewAI really shines with its low complexity. It's fantastic for getting started quickly. And then you have Atomic Agents. Its community is smaller for sure, but it gives you the highest possible degree of control over your costs. And listen, this isn't just a theoretical problem. This quote from the AI testing company Octamind, man, it just says it all. They actually wrote a whole blog post about why they ripped LangChain out of their production system. They said they were spending more time fighting the framework than actually building new features. It's a huge reminder that the biggest tool isn't always the best one. The right fit tool is what matters. Okay, enough theory, let's get super practical. We're going to walk you through a really simple decision path to help you find your perfect match. Let's make this really simple. Just ask yourself, what is my number one priority? So if your entire app is about answering questions from a pile of documents, your first step, no question, is Llama Index. If you just need a fast, easy way to get different agents working together as a team, you should absolutely start with CrewAI. Now, if your top requirement is connecting to hundreds of different tools and databases, well, then LangChain is still your best bet. But finally, if what you care about most is total transparency, complete control of your costs, and just writing clean code, then you need to be looking at atomic agents. But hold on, choosing a framework is really just step one. For this last section, let's talk about what's essential for taking that cool prototype and turning it into a real-world application that doesn't fall over. And I'm telling you, these points are non-negotiable. First, cost. AI agents can get expensive fast. You have to track every token and set budgets before you go live. Next, reliability. Agents will fail sometimes, so you need to build in logic for them to retry. Then there's observability. Black boxes are your enemy. You can't fix what you can't see. Security is paramount. You've got to protect against prompt injection. And finally, testing. You can't just test your code. You have to test the entire agent workflow to make sure it's actually behaving the way you think it is. Look, the era of those clunky, unreliable experimental agents is over. The frameworks have grown up, the tools are stable, and the path to production is way clearer than it has ever been. They are ready for the real world. So the only question left is, what are you gonna build?